You know the feeling. The day looks ordinary from the outside, but inside there's a quiet acceleration, as if a clock only you can hear is speeding up. You finish tasks, you keep your commitments, you do what's asked. Yet a subtle tension lingers, the sense that your real work has not begun. It isn't panic, it's orientation. Something in you is listening for coordinates that haven't broadcast yet. When people ask how you've been, you say busy, but what you mean is aiming. You are not chasing noise, you are tracking a signal. That signal often arrives first as time pressure, not the calendar kind, the existential kind. You could wake at 5, clear the inbox by 9, and still carry the impression of lateness. Lateness to what? Not to errands or roles, but to yourself. The pressure is not punishment. It is guidance. It quietly refuses to let you confuse motion with meaning. When you feel it, notice what it asks. Reduce friction, pour focus where it compounds, trade small urgency for large direction. The sensation is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also a compass. It is reminding you that the hours matter because you matter, and you sense it. Then comes an almost compulsive iteration. Self-development not as a phase, but as a baseline protocol. You revise your systems, shift your sleep, refine your inputs, you journal, then you build a better way to journal. Your search history reads like a blueprint in progress. You are not optimizing to win points in someone else's game. You are building a vessel that can carry the weight of the future you intend to inhabit. This is not never satisfied. It is fidelity to truth in motion. The version of you 5 years from now depends on the choices of you today. You can feel the contract between them. So, you practice micro-bravery. You choose the harder thing that becomes an easier life, over the easier thing that becomes a harder mind. The next sign is a quiet refusal to accept the standard track as destiny. Plans others celebrate feel like borrowed shoes, polished, practical, and somehow the wrong size. When people recite the script, graduate, ascend, acquire, retire, you respect the stability but not the fit. Predictability can be peaceful, but for you, it risks becoming paralysis disguised as success. This is not rebellion for its own sake. It is precision. You are not anti-structure. You are pro-purpose. You want a container aligned with your temperament, enough order to concentrate power, enough freedom to discover. You are willing to walk the road without signage if it means arriving at the place with meaning. Questioning is another constant, not to win arguments, but to find foundations. You catch the hidden premise beneath a confident claim. You ask, what would have to be true? You test the frame before you debate the picture. This has annoyed authority figures since you were young. It will continue to annoy anyone who confuses compliance with cooperation. Keep going. A culture improves when assumptions get daylight. The point of why is not infinite skepticism. It is calibrated stewardship. You want structures that work in reality, not just on slides. That instinct protects you from dogma, and it protects others from preventable mistakes. Alongside the questions lives a builder's impulse. You can admire a system and still see where it leaks. You look at an industry and glimpse a missing bridge. You read a metric and imagine a better one. Even when you lack resources, the designs keep arriving. Sketches in the margins of meetings, workflows drafted between chores, frameworks scrawled on the back of receipts. This is energy asking for form. If you do not give it form, it will turn to frustration. The cure is to ship small often. Build the tool no one asked you for that solves the problem no one could name. Put it into the world and let the world argue with it. You will learn faster by releasing reality tests than by hoarding immaculate ideas. Depth hunger is another marker. Conversation on the surface tires you quickly. You are not dismissive. You are simply attuned to what carries weight. You prefer one honest exchange that provokes a week of thought to an hour of pleasant talk that evaporates by morning. You would rather read 5 pages that rearrange your assumptions than 50 pages that decorate them. You are not antisocial. You are anti-simulation. You want the kind of friendships that can hold both laughter and confession, plans and philosophy, good news and precise critique. When the room cannot hold that texture, your attention retreats to conserve energy. This is not a flaw. It is a filter that protects your capacity for real work. There is also the phenomenon most people label intuition. Those moments when your pattern sensing runs ahead of your proof. You feel a nudge to turn left and avoid the pileup. You think of a name, and then an email arrives. You sense a misalignment in a deal before the spreadsheet reveals it. Call it experience sublimated into instinct. Call it embodied analytics. Call it the nervous system reading micro signals the mind ignores. Whatever the mechanism, you know the difference between impulse and insight. One is a spike. The other is a tone. You are learning to trust the tone, then test it. Intuition alone can mislead. Analysis alone can paralyze. Together, they become judgment. Underneath all of this is a biography, a story you narrate about who you are and what you are for. For many, that story is straightforward. Be kind, work hard, enjoy life. Yours feels larger and more open-ended, not because you are superior, but because you are responsible to something specific. Perhaps an early encounter with loss taught you the brevity of days. Perhaps a teacher named an ability before you could see it. Perhaps failure stripped you of the false self you had mistaken for identity. However it happened, you carry an assignment. It might not have a job title yet. It might not have a revenue model yet. It has a shape. It includes service. It includes mastery. It includes courage. And it waits for you the way a horizon waits for the ship that dares to launch. So, how do you answer the signal without burning yourself out or vanishing into abstraction? First, build a two-tier time system, compass and calendar. The compass is your thematic direction for the year. A single, sentence-length aim phrased as an identity. I am a builder of X. I am an educator of Y. I am an operator who makes Z reliable. The calendar is the weekly mechanism by which the compass becomes visible. Every Sunday, select the 3 most leverage-rich actions that, if done, move the identity into evidence. Schedule them like appointments with your future self. Protect them. Everything else happens around them. Second, codify a personal research loop. Keep a living document called What I'm Testing. On one page, hypotheses about your work, relationships, health, and learning. On the next, small experiments you will run this week to falsify or refine those hypotheses. On the last, debrief notes. What held, what broke, what to adjust. The goal is not perfection, it is momentum with memory. This turns trial and error into trial and learning. Third, engineer your environment like an ally, not a proving ground. Set your tools where your habits happen. Put friction in front of the behaviors that drain you. Put glide beneath the behaviors that carry you. Curate inputs assumed to outlast trends. Books, mentors, long-form conversations, contemplative pauses. If you cannot find a room that feeds your best self, start one. Even 2 people with aligned aims can alter each other's trajectory. Culture is architecture. Build yours. Fourth, redirect ambition from comparison to contribution. The scoreboard will always exist. Views, titles, net worth, follower counts, and it can be useful as a diagnostic. But if you feed on it, it will consume you. Mark success by the quality of problems you are invited to solve and the caliber of people who trust you to solve them. Measure by craft, the sharpness of your practice and the reduced distance between your taste and your output. When that gap closes, recognition follows as a lagging indicator. Fifth, practice courageous specificity. Vague dreams produce vague effort. Name what you are making, clearly enough that it can fail. Put a date on version 1. Publish the promise to people who love you enough to hold you to it. Fear will arrive dressed as a committee of sensible objections. Listen to the helpful ones. Escort the rest to the door. Action clarifies. Sixth, Maintain a ritual that keeps you close to silence. Call it prayer, reflection, morning pages, a long walk without headphones, anything that makes space for the deeper voice beneath the noise. If your schedule is too full to include silence, it is too full to include wisdom. The signal you are tracking is not loud, it's faithful. It rewards attention with alignment. 7th, normalize recovery. Those wired for more often try to buy speed with sleep and pay interest in clarity. You will complete nothing worth doing if you grind your nervous system into static. Rest is not retreat, it is resource allocation. Establish a minimum viable recovery, hours that cannot be traded, foods that keep you clear, movement that keeps you human, relationships that keep you honest. Protect them as if your future depends on them, because it does. 8th, deliver generosity. Not just kindness, but skillful, targeted generosity that makes someone else's path less heavy. Send the email you wish you had received 5 years ago. Share the template you built. Teach the concept that unlocked your bottleneck. The paradox of a purpose-driven life is that your aim becomes sharpest when someone else's gains because you existed. The world has a way of returning that with interest at times and in forms you cannot anticipate. And when the doubt visits, as it will, remember this: a life oriented toward meaning will always feel mistimed inside a culture oriented toward sensation. You will look late to those who measure fast. You will look strange to those who measure by imitation. You will look intense to those who measure by comfort. That is the cost of alignment. It is also the price of freedom. If you have recognized yourself in any of this, the accelerated clock, the endless iteration, the refusal of the default track, the friction with shallow talk, the builder's impulse, the pattern sense, the inner assignment, then here is your encouragement. You are not broken. You are in transit. The discomfort is not a verdict. It is an invitation. Every day offers you the chance to act in ways that respect the person your future will thank. Write the paragraph. Make the call. Learn the tool. Practice the line. Ship the draft. Decline the distraction. Ask the question. Protect the hours. Honor the craft. Keep the promise. There are many ways to become impressive. There is only one way to become yourself. You cannot outsource it. You cannot automate it. You cannot buy it ready-made. You build it, slowly, honestly, repeatedly, until one day, the life that once felt theoretical looks up from your hands and says, "We live here now." The people around you will call it momentum or luck or timing. You will know it by another name, alignment. And if any part of you whispers that you are behind, answer simply, behind what? You are not late. You are arriving. The horizon is not fleeing you. It is waiting for you to move toward it with both imagination and courage. Today is sufficient to begin. Begin, then begin again. When you do, the signal will feel louder. Not because it changed volume, but because you finally cleared enough space to hear it. Keep that space, guard that signal, build what only you can build, and let the ordinary days, arranged with care, become the extraordinary life that only hindsight can fully see.